When was the last time you allowed yourself to make something bad? Like a bad drawing, a bad piece of art, a bad writing? When was the last time you allowed yourself to be messy, unapologetic, not perfect in what you're creating? My wife and I this week, we did this on the same day, unbeknownst to one another. She has been creating art, visual art, drawings, painting, things like that. I've been writing poetry primarily. And the poetry that I wrote that day was filled with anger and vitriol and expletives, the things that I would not typically share with other people, and certainly not something I would try to publish. But I allowed myself to create that as a form of art, not necessarily even to keep it, but to get it out of me and through, like a pipe that gets gunked up. Sometimes where we're stuck, we're not allowing ourselves to just create anyway, to create through the messiness. My wife created something that looked like collage work, though she was doing it with painting and drawing. And I thought it actually looked quite nice, but it was unlike the work that she typically does. And it didn't feel the same way either. The emotions on the page were decidedly more jagged, like the artistry. It had an emotional core to it. She herself said it didn't feel good, and it didn't feel good, but it was still beautiful. But she allowed herself to create bad art. She even called it bad art. And I allowed myself to do that the same day. And what came after I created that bad art was the recognition that there's a part of me that I've been keeping small, pushing down, attacking because it had been attacked at one point or another, and it believed the attacks were true. It took that as an identity. So the idea of sharing, putting yourself out there, can feel very dangerous, very unsafe. So you default into perfectionism. Everything has to be perfect. Everything has to be just right to be able to create anything at all. And it precludes you from iterating and from creating anyway. The initial work that you create is, I think, by rights, messy. It's not the zenith of what you can create. It's not the best work you'll do, in all likelihood. It's not the best work you'll do. But you're clearing the pipes, you're creating a channel, you're opening up a pathway for flow in a place that had been stuck. Like a hose that's kinked, you're opening it up so it can flow. So by giving myself permission, I saw the angry part inside me, and I saw the small part inside me. The part that I'd been pushing down. Now, what came afterwards, for both of us, what came afterwards was creativity, was a flow where we had been stuck. I hadn't written for a couple of days, and I had two poems come that I quite like shortly thereafter. My wife has been creating different kind of work, not edgy necessarily, not that emotional core that didn't feel good, but she's been creating more beauty with her work. And she's been allowing herself to take up more space with her artistry. When you allow yourself to be messy and imperfect, you allow yourself to grow somewhere. Before I met my wife, I really wasn't writing. But there was a writer inside me. I would tell people that at some point in my life I was going to write. What, I wasn't sure. Since we've gotten together, I've written over 500 poems, many of which I'm going to publish here soon. But I had to be willing to just create where I was at. Some of the earlier things I've written, I still have an appreciation for, not in a qualified way. But when you allow yourself to create anyway, you find the parts of yourself that have been kinked, or cut off, or closed. You come face to face with the inner critic, or the inner wounded child. You then have a choice. The choice is, do I continue to create, or do I shut down? Continuing to remain stuck. Now, I have the benefit in relationship to be with a partner who supports me, who loves me, and I would say unconditionally. And I would say that I love her back unconditionally. And where we've had condition, we've grown. The places that have been difficult for us to love within ourselves, we've grown. And that's what it takes. It takes an ability to be with the small parts of yourself and create anyway. And then from that, love can come in and creativity can come in. Something my wife and I have remarked upon through our union is that I can love her and she can love me. But if we don't love ourselves in that place, we reject the other's love. If I can't allow myself to create or be imperfect somewhere, I'm cutting myself off from creativity, from creation, quite literally from life. So the capacity to show up anyway, to create and allow it to be messy, imperfect, to make bad art, is to allow yourself to become great in some way, shape, or form. Years ago, I was struck with this quote. Some quotes just stay with you. This one rattles from time to time. It's a quote from Zig Ziglar. But he said, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. You have to start to be great. When I'm stuck, I have to start. Tonight, I'm recording within my space. What will be the second time I've recorded in here, ever. Not the second time I've ever recorded. I've recorded many times. But this iteration, it's taken me to my depths. Even recording this, I have nothing written. I have nothing planned. And I recorded 3 1 to 3 minute videos before this that I just paused and stopped. I had to sit with a small part of myself. I had to make bad art in the form of a bad video in order to clear the pipes and find my channel and find my voice and communicate again. The funny conceit in recording is that it brings me into my own channel. It brings me into my own connected voice and allows me to serve people I have yet to even meet and people on the other side of this exchange. And that's the beauty of bad art. Bad art clears a way for what you conceive of as good art. It clears a pathway for life and creation. It clears a pathway for new relationships. It broadens your horizons. It opens up doorways. It recreates you through the creative process. And when you move through the chrysalis and you form your wings and you begin to fly, you find that you're not flying at the same stratosphere, at the same level you had before. No, now you have wings. Now you can soar. So I want to thank you for taking the time and the space to be here with me and to go through the process with me of creating bad art and transforming it into something beautiful. Humans are that way. If we really allow ourselves to grow, where we thought we were ugly, something beautiful forms. And that beauty is intrinsic in everyone. It just requires one person to show up. If you can't be that person today, then maybe someone can be that for you. Maybe you can open up the door to receive them. Maybe in partnership, maybe in friendship. Maybe you can sit with yourself today and make bad art in the process of recreating yourself into something that's always been beautiful. Thank you.